guys, welcome in. Take a seat. Maybe sit next to someone you haven't met yet or someone you haven't talked to yet. We're excited to have you. Okay, let's get started. So my name is McDowell. I'm a staff member here at LeadAbroad, and welcome to your first Tuesday lunch club. We call them TLC at LeadAbroad, and we have them for our LeadAbroad Go programs. So at LeadAbroad, we know that what you learn outside of the classroom is almost just as important as what you learn in the classroom. We want to take this time to intentionally reflect on the growth that you're seeing in yourself outside of the classroom as well as in the classroom. So this is kind of a time that we want you to connect with each other, connect with us, and tell us your thoughts. You know, what are your struggles? What are your challenges? We also want to share some tips that we think might help you during your travel time, during this journey and experience. We want you to have the very best experience that you possibly can. Okay, so the Tuesday Lunch Club theme for each week is always based upon a LeadAbroad value. And a major LeadAbroad value that we have is boldly breaking through boundaries. So week one, we're talking about breaking through boundaries. Okay, so take a look at this photo for reference and tell me what you think of when you think of boundaries. Feel free to shout out at any time. Rules, right, yep. Regulations, good. Limits, exactly. Okay, yeah, those are all very good. So as you see in this photo, thank goodness that we have guardrails when we're driving. If you're driving and you might be driving on the road or you might be driving on a bridge and you start to veer off a little bit. Maybe it's dark and it's late and you're tired. And you start to veer off, but you won't go off the cliff or won't go off the side of the bridge into the water because we have guardrails that are set up as boundaries for us as we're driving. So just like these boundaries, we here at LeadAbroad have boundaries for faculty and students that keep us safe. And it's very important that we follow those boundaries and stay within those boundaries. Okay, great. So what do we think of when we think of the dark side of boundaries? If you look here in this picture, you can see the professional man trying to reach success, but he can't reach it because he's in his own bubble, his own comfort zone, and he can't get out of that bubble. So maybe think in your head, we're not going to shout this out, but of comfort zones that you might have brought with you. Comfort zones that you have personally that might be your barrier to success. So personally, I think of Instagram for me, or Chick-fil-A. You know, stepping out of my comfort zone in a new culture, in a new country that I've never been before, and trying the new food, branching out, not getting chicken tenders every time, but trying something in that culture so I get the full experience. Let's see, also running. I'm a big runner and I like to have a schedule, and when I'm abroad in a new country, I can't run alone. So I have to figure out, you know, is there a friend here who can run with me? Yeah, so just kind of be thinking about that as we go along. Okay, so here's a list of boundaries that we encourage you to break through, and we're going to go into each one of these. So there are obstacles that you will face. Stereotyping each other and locals is something that might have already occurred. Self-imposed boundaries, you know, inner boundaries that you might not even realize you have. Time and energy are limited sources. This is really important, and I thought this was a great point because it's something you don't really think of. Okay, so obstacles. Traveling abroad itself brings about a bunch of new obstacles. You're in a brand new place, a new country you've never been in. You're taking new classes with possibly new professors that you've never met before. You're with people from all different colleges, all different schools across the US, and you have a brand new roommate. Those are all just a few obstacles you might face. So I do want you to think about obstacles that you might have thought about coming in, as the ones I just mentioned, you know, in a new place, learning a new schedule, having a brand new roommate who you may have never met yet. And then there are also obstacles that maybe you did not prepare for or could not prepare for. And those are obstacles such as, you know, leaving your purse in the train station and thinking through that, or getting off at the wrong stop because you're traveling abroad in a different country over the weekend and the train stops are all in a different language. They're all in German, and you're trying to get to Munich, but you don't remember if it was the third stop or the fourth stop. So kind of start thinking through those possible obstacles that you maybe didn't think of that are unexpected. So here is a picture of one of those possible obstacles that might have been unexpected. Someone forgot their luggage, which almost happens every time here at LeadAbroad, and anytime anyone is traveling, honestly. So think of an obstacle you may face while traveling, as I just said. Maybe jot it down. If you have a piece of paper in front of you, take note of that. It's really important to start thinking through these things so you can get in front of the problem. So how can we prepare to face it? How will you grow if you're able to overcome the obstacle? I have an example myself of when I studied abroad to Spain. I was with a huge group, and we were studying abroad for 2 weeks in Spain, and all of our luggage was lost, all of it, for 5 days. And the airport didn't find it until the 6th day, I believe. And you know, we had to face it. We had to learn to come together as a group, and we had to lean on each other. And we kind of, you know, made it funny. We were all wearing tourist t-shirts, all said Barcelona, you know, we were washing each other's t-shirts and having to wear them, and it was so funny. And when our bags finally came, it was like Christmas morning. We were like, whose bag is it gonna be? And we finally got them back. But, you know, there are different ways to handle a situation like that. And I think we did in the very best way, where we almost laughed about it. You know, it was so crazy that you have to laugh sometimes. But you definitely have to prepare for those types of situations. So yes, jot that down and just kind of be thinking about what obstacles could be coming your way. So assumptions. What assumptions might you have that you might say, that's kind of weird, you know? You're walking through the street and you see something funny, or someone looks at you funny. Well, you know, we are in a different culture. We're in Italy, and there might be a different type of body language that certain families have. So that's something to think about, you know, as you're here, is that maybe you change your thought process to think that it's not weird, but it's different. And you know what, you're gonna embrace that, and you're going to learn more about their culture versus kind of putting a magnifying glass to it and scrutinizing it. So also something to think about is, what do other people think about you here in Italy? What do the locals think about you? You know, you don't really think, but you might be the first American that they meet. Or you might be the second American they meet. The first one they met was awful. And they already have a bad perspective in their minds. You want to change that perspective. Or if you're the first American that they've met, you want to show them, you know, what the States are about. So that is really important. All right. Also about stereotypes about each other. You don't really think about that, but that is something that's very important as well. You know, maybe someone coming from a certain college, and you already have a vision in their mind, in your mind, of what they're going to be like, and that might not be true. So just start with a clean slate and try to keep an open mind. Okay, self-preservation. Let's think a minute on what that means. If you see here in this photo, it's kind of trying to break through a wall. So let's look at these questions. What are you afraid of losing? What are you trying to hide? What are you trying to prove, and to whom? So I think this goes along the lines a lot of, what did you come in with in this program? What baggage might you carry about who you are, and what's holding you back? What is that wall that you're trying to break through? Maybe someone at home, maybe your family knows that you're extremely scared of heights, and they think, you know, oh, Katie would never do that bungee jump. She's way too scared. You know, don't let that hold you back. Just because you've been scared before, try new things. Be able to be that person that maybe only ate chicken tenders growing up, but tried everything that there was on the menu. You want to get fully immersed in the program, fully immersed in the culture. You never want to look back and say, man, I really wish I had tried that bungee jump. I will never have that chance again. So that's really important. Wow, just got chills. I'm super cheesy. Okay. Limited resources. So like I said, I thought this was a great point and a really good slide because you don't really think about preserving your energy. In this program, you know, you have to think, what's competing for my time? What's competing for my energy? When do you find yourself lacking energy? When do you remember your self-care plan? So this is very important because it does make you think about a self-care plan before the program even starts. And I think you need to think about that right now. And that is that, you know, in your normal semester, this is a squished in semester in only 5 weeks. And, you know, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard sometimes. And you have to determine in your brain, you know, what grade are you trying to make and how can you get there? Maybe talk to your professor. If you are dead set on making an A, you can't make a B or you can't make a C. You need to talk to your professor and say, you know, what is the average homework? What do I need to be putting into this class? Because that is first and foremost, where you need to be focused. So yeah, I thought this was a great point because it really is different than a normal semester. You are not only studying for your classes and for your tests, but you don't have that downtime where you're watching Netflix or, you know, you're hanging out with your friends. You are traveling on the weekends and you are going. And that is the great part about traveling abroad and studying abroad and doing LeadAbroad is that you're able to go, because when you're abroad, you're close to so many other countries. But you have to remember school comes first and also make a plan for yourself because you will run out of energy if you just keep going. So if you want to right now, I encourage you to go ahead and jot down a plan as well. So just kind of plan out what your week might look like, studying wise, traveling wise. I would plan in advance, you know, maybe once you get your class schedule, you might have already gotten it. Kind of look at the calendar, write down your tests and see when you might be traveling, see how many hours of studying you need to get in per day and base it on that. When can you study on the train? So let's keep going here. Defining our obstacles. So this is very important as well. So problems. What is the definition of a problem? A definition of a problem is a situation that has a solution, right? So it can be solved. So that's what we're doing with obstacles. We're thinking ahead of what the problem might be and how we would technically solve it. So regrettable situation is something you don't want to find yourself in, right? A situation where there is no control and there is no solution. Unavoidable conflicts. Situation that would require you to be in 2 places at once. So, you know, unlike a problem, these 2 situations are not problems. They don't have a solution exactly. So you kind of want to think this over ahead of time as well. You know, how can you be in class but also be with everyone at the rooftop, you know, looking over the Italian vineyard? You can't. So, you know, you do have to choose sometimes and pick and choose what's more important. Okay, where do we focus our energy? Recognize what is out of your control. Seek out solutions to your problems and solve them. Don't drag it out. Take action and get the problem solved. Keep perspective and keep the end game in mind. Travel as practice. So we want you to embrace small obstacles, meet new people, and have an open mind. Do something you thought you couldn't, like I mentioned with the bungee jumping. Here's a photo of it here. You know, maybe everyone at home thought you would never even travel abroad. That is stepping out of your comfort zone. You've already taken that one first step. That's a huge step. So keep it up, keep it going. Get out of your comfort zone, be smart with your time and energy so you're not exhausted and you're using it wisely. Okay, and we're going to end on a note here by Courtney Rodaba. Courtney is one of our LeadAbroad founders, and she gave a great speech at Terry College of Business, and that speech was about grit. And it mainly said that grit is a muscle that you can grow. Grit is a muscle that you can learn to grow and flex. And she said, when you come across obstacles, don't put them on the people around you. Don't put them on your family, don't put them on your friends, don't put them on anyone around you, but face them yourself and grow that muscle of grit. Because when you do, you will be so proud of yourself and you will have grown as a person a million times. So here's a little checklist of things you might want to look over as you're going through your experience here at LeadAbroad. And kind of think about, think internally, how am I facing this situation? How am I looking at this perspective-wise? Did you stick to your latest goal or did you quit? Did you step outside of your comfort zone? Is it your first instinct in a crisis to phone home, or do you solve it yourself? Do you find yourself losing control of your emotions frequently? Do you enjoy the drama? So maybe jot these down. Have this as something to look back at, kind of look over. So these are some photos of great success, people that really grew their grit, used their grit, and they stepped outside of their comfort zone. And they grew tenfold because of that. What fun photos. Look at that snake. So this is a great video of Will Smith that you really need to see about skydiving. And if we have time, we'll definitely take a look at it. I think we might have a few minutes here, so maybe we can play it as you guys are walking out. But in practice, just strengthen your grit, and you will learn so much from that. Jot down those questions and what you might be facing in the upcoming weeks. Kind of start thinking of that so you can plan ahead of time. You can be prepared, you can be ready for it. And get excited because it's going to be the best weeks, some of the best weeks of your life. Okay. Be able to, okay. It was safe for faculty and staff, and students. So we have these, oh my gosh. Hey everyone, welcome in. This is so bad.